Hello everyone. This is my real voice. No AI, no fake sound. On this channel, I share powerful sci-fi stories about humanity, space, war, hope, and survival. These stories are about humans standing strong when the universe turns dark. Going to be your narrator. If you enjoy real storytelling, real emotions, and epic sci-fi, subscribe, support the channel, and let's explore the stars together. Now, let's get into today's story. Rain fell hard on the ruins of Sector 9. The sky was gray. The ground was wet and full of ash. Buildings that once stood tall were now broken piles of metal and stone. This place used to be a city. Now, it was just a camp for people with nowhere else to go. Among the ruins walked a man named Kale. He was tall but thin, with tired eyes and a short, rough beard. His clothes were torn. His boots were falling apart. He carried an old metal cup and a half-empty water bottle. He wasn't looking for gold or weapons. He was looking for clean water, something safe to drink. Kale used to be a soldier, but that war ended years ago. Now, he just tried to stay alive. As he passed a pile of twisted metal, he heard a sound. Not wind, not rain. A soft whimper. He stopped, listened. There it was again, quiet, weak, like a hurt animal. Kale moved slowly toward the sound. He pulled aside a burnt door, then a broken beam. Underneath, in a muddy hole, sat a small child. She couldn't have been more than 5 years old. Her hair was matted with dirt. Her clothes were rags. She had no shoes. Her skin was pale, almost gray from hunger. But her eyes were strange. They were dark brown, but with tiny silver dots in them, like stars in a night sky. She didn't cry, didn't run. She just looked up at him, silent. Kale's heart ached. He crouched down, slowly, so he wouldn't scare her. "Hey," he said, voice soft. "You okay?" She didn't answer, just stared. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his last meal bar. It was old. The wrapper was torn. But it was food. He held it out. The girl looked at the bar, then at his face, then back at the bar. Slowly, she reached out. Her fingers were small and shaking. She took it. She didn't say thank you, didn't smile. But as she bit into the food, her eyes closed for just a second, like she'd forgotten what it felt like to not be hungry. Kale sat down beside her in the mud. Let her eat. "You got a name?" he asked. She shook her head. "Family." She looked away. Kale didn't push. He knew loss. He'd lost everything too. When she finished eating, he gave her a little water from his bottle. She drank it like it was magic. "Come on," he said, standing up. "You can't stay here. It's not safe." He held out his hand. She looked at it for a long time. Then slowly, she placed her tiny hand in his. Her skin was cold, but her grip was firm. He led her away from the ruins, toward an old subway tunnel he'd turned into a shelter. It wasn't much, just a dry corner with a blanket and a few cans of food, but it was better than the rain. Inside, he wrapped her in the blanket. She curled up like a cat. That night, while Kale tried to sleep, the girl wandered to the tunnel wall. It was covered in old graffiti and cracks. In one spot, there was a strange symbol, carved long ago, maybe by someone else who'd hidden here. The girl reached out. Her fingertips touched the stone. For just a second, nothing happened. Then, a soft blue light pulsed under her skin. It traveled from her fingers into the wall. The symbol glowed faintly, like a heartbeat waking up after a long sleep. The light lasted only 2 seconds. Then it faded. The girl pulled her hand back, looked around, saw Kale still asleep. She said nothing, just went back to her blanket and closed her eyes. But far above Earth, in the cold black of space, something noticed. A long-dead satellite, drifting near Mars, suddenly powered on. Its solar panels unfolded. Its sensors turned toward Earth. Deep inside its core, a message formed. Lineage confirmed. Beacon active. Heir located. And across the galaxy, in a throne room made of black metal and stolen stars, An emperor stood up for the first time in 50 years. "Find her," he said, "before the humans realize what she is." Back on Earth, Kale dreamed of his old home. He didn't know the world had just changed. He didn't know the starving orphan he'd fed was the last living heir to an empire that ruled 1,000 worlds. All he knew was that she was alone. And he wouldn't leave her behind. Not again. Kale woke before sunrise. The air in the tunnel was damp and cold. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the sky was still gray. He sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes. Then he remembered. The girl. She was still there. Curled up in the corner, wrapped in the blanket, sleeping like she hadn't slept in weeks. Her breathing was soft and steady. Kale watched her for a moment. She looked so small. So fragile. But something about her didn't feel fragile. He shook his head. Just tired, he told himself. He stood, checked his few supplies, half a bottle of water, 2 cans of beans, 1 battery-powered flashlight. Not much, but enough for today. As he moved, the girl stirred. Her eyes opened, those strange eyes with silver dots. She didn't speak, just watched him. "Morning," Kale said. She nodded once. He offered her a can of beans. She took it, opened it with small, careful hands, and ate slowly. Kale looked at the wall where she'd touched the symbol last night. Nothing there now. Just cracked concrete and old paint. Must have been my eyes playing tricks, he thought. But he wasn't sure. Far above Earth, the old satellite kept sending its message. It wasn't built by humans. Not really. Long ago, before cities fell, before wars broke nations, a hidden group had buried tech across the planet. Tech left behind by a lost civilization. The satellite was one piece of that. And now, after 2 centuries of silence, it had woken up. Its signal traveled faster than light. It reached a drone floating near the edge of known space. The drone had no pilot, just a cold, sharp mind made of code. It read the message. Bloodline match. 99.8%. Identity. Lyra Vathera. Status. Alive. The drone turned. Engines flared red. It shot toward the Sol system like a bullet. Back in the tunnel, Kale decided they couldn't stay. Too many people nearby. Too many eyes. He'd seen strangers watching the ruins lately. Men with clean boots and no hunger in their faces. That meant trouble. "We're moving," he told the girl. She didn't argue. Just stood, folded the blanket neatly, and held it out to him. He almost smiled. They walked for hours through broken streets. Past burnt-out cars. Past silent schools. Past a playground with rusted swings. The girl never complained. Never asked where they were going. But sometimes, when Kale looked back, he saw her staring at the sky. Like she was waiting for something. That afternoon, they reached an old storage yard near the river. Kale had used it before. Locked gate, thick walls, and a hidden basement. As they climbed over the fence, the girl stopped. She pointed at a metal pole sticking out of the ground. Rusty. Bent. Probably part of some old antenna. Kale frowned. "What is it?" She didn't answer. But when she walked past it, the pole twitched. Just a little. Like it felt her go by. Kale blinked. "Did you see that?" The girl looked away. He shook his head again. Too much stress. Not enough sleep. Inside the basement, it was dry and dark. Kale lit a small lantern. While he unpacked their few things, the girl sat on the floor and started drawing in the dust with her finger. Kale glanced over. She wasn't drawing flowers or houses. She was drawing stars. But not random stars. They formed a pattern, like a map. And in the center, a single dot with a crown above it. Kale's skin prickled. He didn't know star maps. But he knew that symbol. He'd seen it once, on a broken data chip from a dead soldier years ago. The chip had burned up before he could read it. But the symbol stayed in his memory. "Where did you learn that?" he asked. The girl looked up. "Dreams," she whispered. It was the first full word she'd said. Her voice was soft, like wind through leaves. Kale sat beside her. "Who are you, really?" She didn't answer. Just kept drawing. That night 2 things happened. First, A ship entered Earth's atmosphere. Quiet. Black. No lights. It landed in the desert far west. No alarms sounded. No radar saw it. Out stepped a man in a dark armored suit. His face was hidden behind a smooth mask that shimmered like oil on water. The mask could read thoughts. It could track heat. It could find one heartbeat in a million. It already knew where to go. Second, deep in a government bunker, a scientist named Dr. Ellis noticed something strange. Her old monitoring screen, a forgotten project, had lit up. One line of text blinked in red. Signal source. Confirmed. Origin. Pre-collapse. Threat level. Unknown. She stared at it, then picked up the phone. "Sir," she said, voice shaking, "I think we just found the reason the Vathari Empire vanished 200 years ago." Back in the basement, Kale slept with his knife in hand. The girl lay awake. She looked at her palm. Faint blue lines glowed under her skin, just for a second, then faded. Outside, the wind picked up, and far away, something hungry began to run toward them. Morning light slipped through a crack in the basement wall. Kale opened his eyes fast. He didn't know why, but his body felt like danger was near. The girl was already awake. She sat cross-legged on the floor, drawing again. But this time, the dust map was bigger. More stars. More lines. And in the center, 3 circles, one inside the other, with a single word written in shaky letters. Home. Kale sat up. "You remember it?" She shook her head. "It calls." Her voice was still soft, but stronger now. Kale didn't understand, but he trusted her more than he trusted his own thoughts. He stood, checked the door. Still locked. Still safe. Or so he thought. Outside the city, the bounty hunter moved like a shadow. His name was Vor. He wasn't human. Not fully. His bones were laced with metal. His blood carried trackers. His mask showed him heat, sound, even fear. And right now, it showed him a faint blue pulse, coming from the old storage yard. He smiled under the mask. "She's awake," he whispered. He didn't run. He didn't rush. He knew the girl couldn't escape. The beacon in her blood had marked her. Wherever she went, the signal followed. And he had one job: bring her back dead or alive. The Emperor didn't care which. Back in the basement, Kale gave the girl a small piece of bread. She ate slowly, eyes on the wall. Suddenly, she froze. Her hand shot out and grabbed Kale's wrist. Her fingers were ice cold. "Hide," she said. Kale didn't argue. He pulled her behind a metal shelf just as a loud thud shook the door above. Someone was trying to break in. Not with a gun. Not with noise. With patience. A slow, steady pounding, like metal hitting metal. Kale held his breath. The girl pressed close to him, trembling, but not from fear. From anger. Then, silence. Kale waited. 5 minutes. Then, nothing. He peeked out. The door was still locked. But on the floor outside, near the fence, lay a dead rat. Its eyes were black. Its mouth open in a silent scream. And around its body, no footprints. No tracks. Just scorch marks in the dirt. Kale's stomach dropped. He's testing us, he realized. Seeing if we run. That afternoon, Kale knew they had to leave. Now, he packed their few things. The girl didn't speak, but her eyes kept darting to the sky. As they slipped out the back, Kale saw something that made his blood go cold. On a nearby rooftop, just for a second, a dark shape stood still. Then vanished. Kale grabbed the girl's hand. "Run." They ran through alleys, over broken fences, past empty markets. The girl never slowed. She moved like she'd done this before, like she knew every turn. Finally, they stopped in an old church, half collapsed, covered in vines. Inside, the air was quiet. Dust floated in sunbeams. The girl walked to the altar. There, carved into the stone, was the same symbol from the tunnel wall. She touched it. This time, the blue light didn't fade. It spread. Lines of glowing energy shot across the floor, up the walls, onto the stained glass windows. The glass lit up, showing not saints, but stars, ships, and a woman with silver eyes, holding a child. Kale stared. "What is this place?" The girl whispered, "A memory." Far away, in a secret bunker under Geneva, Dr. Ellis played the satellite data again. She'd hacked into old records, pre-war files, locked for centuries. What she found made her hands shake. Project Cradle. Final entry. Subject: Lyra Vathera. Age: 3. Status: smuggled to Sol, 3, Earth, for protection. Reason: purge of royal bloodline ordered by Emperor Drex. All heirs executed. Except one. She read the next line out loud, voice breaking. If the beacon ever wakes, she is the last. The only. The Empire's true heir. Dr. Ellis looked at the live feed from the storage yard camera. Empty. But the signal was stronger now. Heading east. She picked up her radio. "Tell command, we can't let the Vatheri take her. If she dies, the last hope for peace dies with her." Back at the church, Kale finally asked the question burning in his chest. "Who are you?" The girl turned. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but they weren't clear. They shimmered like liquid silver. "They killed my family," she said. "Burned them alive because I was born." She looked at her hands. "I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to exist." Kale knelt, took her hands in his, rough, calloused, but warm. "Then let the galaxy be wrong," he said. Outside, the wind howled. And high above, 3 Vatheri warships dropped out of warp. Their engines screamed like falling stars. The hunt was no longer secret. It was war. The sky split open. 3 black warships hung over the city like fists of iron. No flags. No warnings. Just silence, and the low, thunderous hum of engines that bent the air. People screamed. Cars crashed. Birds fell silent. In the ruined church, Kale pulled Lyra behind a broken pillar. "They found us," he whispered. Lyra didn't look scared. She looked sad. "They don't want me," she said. "They want me gone." Outside, a voice boomed from the sky. Deep, cold, echoing in every language at once. "People of Earth, hand over the false heir. Refuse, and your world will be cleansed. No time to think. No time to plan." Kale grabbed Lyra's hand. "We run. Now." In a high mountain bunker, world leaders watched the warships on screens. Panic spread fast. "She's not even human," shouted one general. "Give her to them. Save billions." But Dr. Ellis stood up. "She is human. Or close enough. And if we betray her, we become just like them." A vote was called. Some countries said hand her over. Others said hide her. A few, quiet, angry nations, said protect her. But Earth had no fleet. No shields. No weapons that could scratch those ships. They were alone. Kale and Lyra moved through backstreets, faces covered with cloth, heads down. People stared at the sky, but some stared at them. Rumors spread fast. The refugee girl is the reason the ships came. Fear turned to anger. A man blocked their path, holding a pipe. "You bring death to our home," he yelled. Kale stepped in front of Lyra. "She's just a child." "Then why are they here?" Before it could turn violent, a van screeched to a stop. The door flew open. "Get in!" shouted a woman with wild red hair and a scar across her cheek. Kale hesitated. "Dr. Ellis sent me," she said. "Name's Rena. Ex-pilot. Now I drive for the stupid." Kale shoved Lyra inside and jumped in after. The van roared away just as the mob charged. They drove for hours, deep into the wildlands, past dead farms and dry rivers. Rena didn't talk much, but she gave them food, clean water, and a small device. "It's a scrambler," she said. "Blocks basic trackers. Won't fool the warships, but it might buy time." Lyra held the device. It sparked in her hand, then glowed soft blue. Rena's eyes widened. "Who are you, kid?" Lyra didn't answer. But later, when they stopped at an abandoned mine, she walked to the entrance and placed her palm on the rock wall. The ground trembled. From deep underground, A low hum began, like a giant heart waking up. Kale ran to her. "What did you do?" "I didn't do anything," she said. "It remembered me." That night, in a hidden chamber below the mine, they found it. Not treasure. Not weapons. A control room. Old. Human-made. But covered in the same star symbols Lyra drew. Screens flickered to life as she stepped inside. One showed a map of Earth, with hundreds of red dots buried under oceans, mountains, deserts. Another showed a message, written in a language no one had spoken in 300 years. "Guardians asleep. Awaiting Heir's command." Dr. Ellis's voice crackled over Rena's radio. "Kale, we just found something. Deep under the Pacific. A structure. It's alive. And it's responding to Lyra's DNA." Kale looked at the girl. "What is all this?" Lyra touched a screen. An image appeared, ancient humans in silver armor, standing beside tall aliens. Not as slaves. As equals. "The Empire didn't build the first ships," she said softly. "We did. Humans. Long ago. The Vathari stole the tech. Killed the builders. Said they were gods." She turned to Kale, eyes full of fire. "Earth isn't just a hiding place. It's the throne." Above them, the warships grew impatient. One fired a warning shot, a beam of red energy that vaporized a mountain range in South America. Millions watched in horror. The message was clear. Next time, it's your city. Governments panicked. Some prepared to surrender Lyra. But in secret, rebels moved. Hackers broke into old military networks. Soldiers who refused to obey orders gathered in the shadows. Scientists dug up files labeled Project Guardian. And deep in the earth, ancient machines stirred. Back in the mine, Kale sat with Lyra under a single lamp. "You're not just a princess," he said. "You're proof that humans built something great. And it was stolen." Lyra nodded. "Now they want to erase me so no one remembers." Kale looked at his hands. Calloused, dirty, human. "And we're going to stop them," he said. "Not with war. Not with hate. But with truth." Outside, the wind howled. But beneath their feet, something much older began to rise. The ground shook. Not like an earthquake. Not like a bomb. Like something old was standing up after centuries of sleep. Deep under the mine, lights flickered on. Blue, steady, alive. The walls hummed. The air smelled like metal and rain. Lyra stood in the center of the chamber, barefoot on a circular platform. Symbols glowed beneath her feet, matching the ones on her skin. Kale watched, breath held. "She's talking to it," Rena whispered, eyes wide. Lyra wasn't speaking out loud, but the machines answered. Screens flashed with star charts, battle plans, ship logs, all in human languages, old and new. One screen showed a massive structure rising from the ocean floor near Japan. Another showed metal limbs unfolding under the Antarctic ice. "They're not weapons," Lyra said, turning to them. "They're guardians. Built to protect, not to kill." Kale stepped forward. "Can they stop the warships?" Lyra hesitated. "Only if I ask them to." Above Earth, the Vathari Emperor watched the readings. His fingers curled into fists. "She's activated the cradle network," he growled. "Impossible. Humans were savages when we left Sol." His general bowed. "They must have hidden the tech. Preserved it. Then burn it all," the Emperor said. "Drop the cleanser bomb. Turn their world to glass." The general hesitated. "But, if she really is the heir, the blood test." "I am the Empire now," the Emperor snapped. "There is no heir. Only ghosts." He gave the order. A massive ship in orbit opened its belly. From it, a dark sphere dropped, slowly at first, then faster, glowing red as it hit the atmosphere. The cleanser bomb. One hit could melt entire continents. Back in the mine, alarms blared. Dr. Ellis's voice came through the radio, panicked. "Kale, they've launched a planet killer. Impact in 27 minutes. Rena cursed. "We can't outrun that." But Lyra didn't panic. She ran to a console covered in dust and placed both hands on it. Her eyes glowed silver. "Guardians," she whispered. "Awake!" Across Earth, the impossible happened. In the Pacific, a tower of black metal rose from the sea, taller than mountains, covered in glowing veins. In the Sahara, the sand exploded as a giant machine, shaped like a lion made of steel, stepped into the sun. In Siberia, a dome opened, and a ship, ancient, human-built, lifted into the sky on silent engines. They weren't alien. They were human, forgotten, buried, but not broken. And they all turned toward the falling bomb. Kale grabbed Lyra's shoulder. "What are they going to do?" "Stop it," she said. "But not the way the Vathari would." The Ocean Guardian fired a beam, not of fire, but of pure light. It wrapped around the bomb like a net. The desert lion roared, sending a shockwave that slowed the bomb's fall. The sky ship flew straight into its path, forming a shield of energy. The bomb slowed, stopped, then shattered into harmless dust. No explosion, no fire, just silence. Across the world, people watched in awe. The machines didn't attack the warships. They just stood guard. On his throne, the Emperor stood up, shaking. "That tech, it's human," he whispered. "They built it themselves?" His general looked at the screens, pale. "Sir, the blood test was right. She is the heir. And Earth is the origin world." The Emperor's face twisted in rage and fear. "If humanity remembers what they are," he said, "the Empire falls." He turned to his fleet. "All ships. Full assault. Burn every city. Kill every human. Especially her." In the mine, Kale knew time was up. "They're coming," he said. Rena checked her rifle. "Then we fight." But Lyra shook her head. "Fighting like them won't save us." She walked to a large screen showing Earth from space. She touched it with her palm. "I don't want to be a weapon," she said. "I want to be a bridge." The Guardians responded. From every hidden site, they sent out a signal. Not a weapon, but a broadcast. It showed truth. Humans building the first star engines. Vathari stealing the tech, killing the engineers. The royal family hiding the last child on Earth. The message went out in every language, to every world in the galaxy. Even the Vathari soldiers heard it. Some lowered their weapons. Some wept. Kale looked at Lyra, small, quiet, standing in the heart of a machine older than nations. "You're not just saving Earth," he said. She smiled, the first real smile he'd seen. "I'm giving them back their history." Outside, the sky burned with incoming ships. But beneath the ground, the Guardians hummed louder. "Ready. Not to destroy, but to defend what was right." The Vathari fleet moved like a storm. Hundreds of warships, black, sharp, hungry, surrounded Earth. Their weapons charged. Cities below held their breath. But before the first shot could fire, something changed. On the bridge of the lead ship, General Torvak stood frozen. He'd just seen the broadcast. Not lies. Not human tricks. Truth. Footage of his own people, long ago, kneeling before human engineers. Footage of the royal purge. Footage of a baby hidden in a refugee ship, her tiny hand marked with the royal star. And then, her face now. The girl in the ruins. The one they were ordered to kill. His hands shook. Because he knew her. 20 years ago, Torvak was a low-ranking guard in the Imperial Palace. The night of the purge, he heard screams. He followed them, and found the royal nurse running with a child in her arms. He should have killed them. But he saw the baby's eyes, silver-flecked, calm, even then. He let them go, and lied to the Emperor. Said they were dead. Now that child stood on Earth, and she was alive. "General," a soldier asked. "Orders." Torvak's voice was quiet. "Hold fire." In the mine, Kale watched the sky through a cracked screen. "All ships have stopped moving," Rena said, confused. "Why?" Lyra stood at the console, eyes closed. "Someone remembers." Then, a new signal. A single Vathari shuttle broke from the fleet. It flew straight toward Earth, no weapons drawn. Dr. Ellis's voice crackled. "It's hailing us. They want to talk." Kale didn't trust it. Trap. But Lyra shook her head. No. He's the one who saved me. The shuttle landed in a dry field near the mine. Out stepped a tall Vathari in armor, face scarred, eyes tired. He carried no weapon. Kale met him with a rifle in hand. You come to kill her? Kale asked. Torvak looked past him, to Lyra, standing in the doorway. I come to kneel, he said, and he dropped to one knee in the dirt. Lyra walked forward slowly. You let my nurse escape, she said. She died in the refugee camp. But she kept me safe until Kale found me. Torvak bowed his head. I failed your family. But I won't fail you again. He looked up. The Emperor is coming himself. His flagship, the Dread Sovereign, will arrive in 2 hours. He won't talk. He'll burn your world to ash. Kale stepped closer. Why help us? Because I'm tired of lying, Torvak said. The Empire is rotten. But you still have mercy. He turned to Lyra. Let me fight for you. Not as a soldier. As a penance. They didn't have much time. Torvak gave them everything. Fleet codes, shield frequencies, the Emperor's weak points. Rena and rebel hackers used the info to link Earth's guardians with Torvak's defectors. Now, human machines and Vathari rebels stood side by side. Not as enemies. As allies. Kale watched them work. Humans and aliens sharing tools, fixing engines, planning together. It felt right. 2 hours passed. The sky darkened. Not from clouds. From a ship so big it blotted out the sun. The Dread Sovereign. Black as night. Covered in spikes of bone and metal. At its front, a cannon glowed red. The planet killer. 10 times stronger than the last. The Emperor's voice boomed across every speaker on Earth. Lyra Vathara. Come out, or I erase your world from history. Silence. Then, Lyra stepped onto a hill, alone. No weapons. No armor. Just a small girl in a simple dress. She raised her voice, not loud, but clear. I'm here. The Emperor laughed. Good. Now watch your pets die. His fleet turned weapons on the rebel ships. But before they could fire, Kale ran forward. He didn't carry a gun. He carried a small device, built by Dr. Ellis, powered by Guardian energy. Kale, no! Lyra cried. He turned and smiled at her. You showed them mercy. Now let me show them why. He activated the device. It didn't explode. It broadcast. Not data. Not threats. Footage of Lyra. Giving her food to a hungry dog. Holding a dying refugee's hand. Crying when she heard children's names lost in the war. The message went out to every ship. Every soldier. Every world watching. The Emperor snarled. Delete that trash. But it was too late. Across the fleet, soldiers lowered their weapons. Some wept. Some turned their guns on their own officers. On the hill, Kale stood tall. I'm just a man, he said to the sky. But I chose kindness. And she's worth protecting, not because she's a princess, but because she's good. The Emperor screamed. Fire! Fire! But only 3 ships obeyed. The rest stayed still. And from the ocean, the desert, the ice, the Guardians rose. Not to attack, but to shield Earth. Kale looked back at Lyra one last time. Then he whispered, Be better than us. As the planet killer fired, he stood in its path. Not to stop it, but to show the galaxy what humans really are. The planet killer beam shot from the Dread Sovereign, a river of fire aimed at Earth's heart. Kale stood alone on the hill, hands at his sides, eyes open. He didn't flinch, but the beam never touched him. From the ocean, the desert, the mountains, Earth's guardians rose as one. Their bodies glowed blue. They formed a dome of light over the planet, soft but unbreakable. The fire hit the shield, and shattered into harmless sparks. Like rain. Like stars falling gently. Kale blinked. Looked up. He was still alive. And across the galaxy, billions watched in silence. A human, standing without fear. A child, choosing peace. A broken world, shielded by ancient machines built by its own people. The Emperor roared in fury. Again. Fire again. But his fleet didn't move. Even his loyal ships hesitated. Because they had seen Kale's broadcast. They had seen Lyra sharing her last piece of bread with a stray dog. They had seen her crying for children she never knew. They had seen a human give everything, just to protect a child who wasn't even his own. That wasn't weakness. That was strength the Empire had forgotten. On the flagship, General Torvak made his move. He and the rebel soldiers stormed the bridge. The Emperor turned, eyes burning red. Traitor! Torvak didn't draw a weapon. He just said, "You lost them the moment you chose fear over love." Outside, ship after ship switched sides. Their engines turned from red to blue. They formed a ring around Earth, not to attack, but to guard. The rebellion had begun. Not with guns, with conscience. Back on Earth, Lyra ran to Kale. She threw her arms around him, trembling. You stayed," she whispered. Kale held her tight. Someone had to remind them what matters. Above them, the sky cleared. The dread sovereign floated silently, surrounded by its own fleet, now turned against it. Then, a new signal pulsed from the mine. Lyra looked toward it. The beacon. It wants to speak. She took Kale's hand and ran back underground. In the chamber, the central console glowed brighter than ever. Lyra placed her hands on it. This time, she didn't ask for power. She asked for truth. And the beacon answered. It sent a message, not just to nearby ships, but to every world, every colony, every hidden outpost across the galaxy. The message wasn't words. It was a memory. Humans and Vathari working together, building ships under twin suns. The first Empress, a human woman, placing a crown on her Vathari friend. The betrayal, the Emperor's ancestors stealing the throne, rewriting history, erasing Earth. The truth spread like wildfire. Planets that once bowed to the Empire now raised their own flags. Fleets declared independence. Palaces crumbled, not from war, but from shame. On his broken throne, the Emperor sat alone. His guards were gone. His fleet was gone. Even his own son had broadcast a message. The bloodline is restored. The true heir lives. We were wrong. The Emperor stared at his hands, hands that had ordered millions to die. And for the first time in 100 years, he wept. Not for power. For the child he tried to kill. The child who chose mercy when she could have burned him alive. On Earth, the people cheered. But Lyra didn't smile. She looked up at the stars and whispered, "It's not over." She walked to the beacon one last time, placed her palm on its core, and spoke a single command. No child shall be used as a weapon again. The beacon pulsed. The message spread faster than light. Across the galaxy, ancient laws changed. New ones were written. And in every school, every ship, every home, children would learn the story of a starving orphan and the man who gave her food. Weeks later, Earth began to heal. Refugee camps turned into towns. Broken streets filled with laughter. And in a small garden near the old mine, Kale sat with Lyra under a young tree. She held a datapad, drawing star maps again, but now she added new ones. "Where to next?" Kale asked. Lyra smiled. "Home. Earth is your home now." She shook her head. "Not just Earth. All of it. The Empire was broken, but we can build something better. Together." Kale looked at the sky. No warships, no fear. Just stars. He remembered the day he found her in the rain. Just a starving child. Now she was hope for 1,000 worlds. And all it took was one act of kindness. Far away, on a quiet moon, General Torvak placed a stone at the base of a new monument. Carved into it were 2 words. "Thank you. Not for victory. For reminding them how to be human."